Hi there, greetings and salutations. My name is Jake Query. That is Derek Schultz. This is the incredibly creatively and appropriately named Query and Schultz program on the ISC Sports Network, charitably award-winning, if I haven't mentioned that. And to begin the show, we'll start with kind of a theme that went from last week and carried into this week. And, you know, in the summertime, you never know with sports stories what kind of sticks and what lasts.
Sure.
And you know, we've had the fortune in Indianapolis this year in particular with Caitlin Clark and the fever. That kind of gives an additional storyline. The Pacers, which we'll get into. But also, one thing that we learned last week that we can continue talking about this week briefly, I find very odd. Derek has not one now, but two pair of the John Stockton grape smuggling shorts, which is weird.
I do, yeah. 5-inch inseam shorts, and I'm wearing my navy pair right now. Does everybody want to see?
No, they don't. But
oh, wait, you can't even see short right there. You just see leg.
Were these buy one, get one?
No, they weren't buy one, get one. But they were, here, I'll just stand up.
No,
People like it. We've
don't,
gotten a lot of positive response.
No, from who? I'd like to know from who. Who possibly?
In April.
Who?
Yeah. April?
Okay. April Farmer?
Yeah.
Come on.
Look at that.
First off, you have no muscle definition in your thigh. I mean,
tush, it's nice.
Okay.
It hugs me where I need to be hugged right there. Beautiful. All right, let's talk some sports ball on this show. Let's do it. Pacers probably all done.
For both of you still watching, we'll talk sports now.
Yeah, April and Gritty. And probably Matthew. Let's talk Pacers because everything's official now. This stupid moratorium period that the NBA does is done. It ended over the weekend. The Siakam introductory press conference, or do you even call it an introductory press conference?
An official
extension press conference. I mean, I don't know what to call it. That happened. We're taping this right now, early Tuesday morning. That happened Monday. The Obi Toppin deal went official. The James Wiseman deal, which actually broke after we taped last week's show, because I think that happened exactly a week ago today, which we haven't talked about. So the Pacers technically have a roster spot left, but essentially speaking, they've got about $2.5 million for a vet minimum salary. They're probably done. This is probably
Correct.
The 24-25 Indiana Pacers.
I love the James Wiseman move.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
This, to me, is the definition of low risk and potentially, probably not high reward, but moderate reward. And I'll tell you why, Derek. James Wiseman is a young player that was taken number 2 overall in the draft and originally was playing in Golden State, actually had decent numbers as a rookie, showed some athleticism as a 7-foot big, kind of an Isaiah Jackson type player, then had a knee injury, just kind of fell out of rotation, couldn't really get any footing after that, went to Detroit, probably thought, okay, change of scenery, we'll see what happens, fell out of rotation essentially in Detroit, had some decent games, but it's Detroit. How much can you really read into it? He is, I believe, 23 or 24 years old.
Yeah, 23, yeah.
He's uber athletic. He doesn't cost you a lot of money. Theoretically, he's your 12th guy on the bench. But if you find something there, and if all of a sudden something awakens a little bit and you have a rotational piece, then what that does is it gives you a young piece. And I love Miles Turner, and I would love to see Miles Turner retire a Pacer. But when Miles Turner's deal is up, if all of a sudden you get pinched where you can't afford him or somebody else comes in and makes an offer that the Pacers can't match and Miles Turner leaves, now you've got, let's say, Isaiah Jackson as your starting center. You have another guy that just slots in and gives you depth where that blow is softened a little bit, because you always have to be thinking down the road worst case scenario or, you know, potential changes that could happen. At the very least, you're paying him James Johnson type money, and he is on the end of your bench and he gets buried there and he plays 6 minutes a month. Okay, fine. I mean, you always have a guy like that on your roster that falls out of rotation and is just kind of buried there. I like it though, because he's young. He is athletic, and we'll see if he's ready to make the most of what could be, quite frankly, his last opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, two things. It's not even really a risk. It's there's no risk involved. It's $500K guaranteed. I mean, $500K guaranteed is in NBA terms is nothing. So if he's nothing, he's nothing. I mean, James Wiseman stinks. he might be okay. They might be able to reclaim something
now,
there, but he stinks. He's not any good.
You don't know that.
Now maybe he can become good.
You don't know that.
Maybe I know. James Wiseman stinks.
What if he's been hurt?
I mean, we talk about everybody's draft status. That has a certain shelf life. Like, this guy was the number 2 overall pick. Okay, Darko was the number 2 overall pick. Sean Bradley was the number 2 overall pick. And both of those guys probably project or will have had better careers than what James Wiseman had.
If he'd been taken 28th overall, what would you say about him? Would you say he's terrible, or would you say, like, yeah, he's a good player? He's a contributor.
I mean, he couldn't stay on the floor for the league's worst team last year, right? I mean, he was coming off the bench at times. He was kind of a bit player on a awful Pistons team.
Yeah, but they're awful, though. That's the thing. I mean,
It is what it is. The signing makes sense, and the Pacers have absolutely nothing to lose here.
Right.
Maybe
that's why I like it.
This is James Wiseman's last chance. If there's something there, he has to unlock it here, or else he's going to have to go overseas, and he's going to be an NBA bust forever. I actually have no idea.
You know what would be beautiful is if they could sign both of them if he does, and then you have 3 Wisemans.
Nah. That's, yeah. I'll just let that one go. So the backup big to Isaiah Jackson is where he slots 12th man, and Pacers basically have 12 guys that I think have the potential to play. And maybe you put that in the good problem to have category, but they have 12 guys that have the potential to play.
You're right.
I mean, I don't think Furphy's going to play as a 19-year-old in his first NBA career. I think he's going to be on the NBA roster, but I think that's where the cutoff comes.
Right.
And then if they re-sign James Johnson, that's where the cutoff comes. But the rest, Haliburton, Nembhard, Nesmith, Siakam, Turner, that's probably your starting lineup. And then McConnell, Shepard, Mathurin, Toppin, Ijax off the bench. And then Jarris Walker you're going to have to play him.
Ijax?
Yeah, you're going to have to play him.
That's Isaiah Jackson.
And then James Wiseman.
Did you come up with Ijax?
No, it's just
if he was
that's what you call him.
Is he a big rebounder?
Maybe he's okay.
Because you could say Ijax cleans the glass.
We don't have to take it any farther than I just went with it.
Because Ijax
people knew who I was talking about.
I don't think anybody did. Isaiah Jackson is the way you say it.
I'm just going off their bench here.
Okay.
This is their bench. McConnell, Shep, Ben, Obi, Ijax. And then you have Jarris, Walker, and then Wiseman.
Here's the problem
as
there.
the deep reserves.
When you say Shep and Ben, it could be same guy.
No, it's not the same guy. Shep is
but
Ben
it could
Shepard.
be.
No, it can't be.
No, but with Mathurin, you just say Mathurin. Everybody knows who Mathurin is.
Nah, it's
you
a
say
little
Ben. People think you mean
it's a
Shepard.
little clunky.
Ben is clunky because there's 2 of them. You just say Mathurin, Shepard.
There are actually 2 N's in Ben, so maybe we should just do Ben, kind of like we do with Mac.
No,
with the Mac conference as opposed to the Mac.
But when you do that, the Ben thing you just did, you were accentuating the E and not the N. It would be Ben, not Ben or whatever that. You sounded like a goat.
The good news is that according to Tony East, who is the expert of all things Pacers cap, they can still sign a veteran minimum player on a 1-year deal. So James Johnson, you would assume, right? If they wanted to, and not go into the luxury tax because they're right up against the tax. I think the problem is that projecting out, if you're going to like next offseason when McConnell is due the extension and he's already extension eligible, Nembhard will be due an extension if they don't come to him already. Turner will be a UFA. They're not going to be able to keep all of these guys. They're just not. And pay them what they're Isaiah Jackson. That's another guy that his contract will come up, or he'll be extension eligible.
I like Isaiah Jackson also.
I do too, but you can't keep all of these guys.
They should put right there a graphic that says Isaiah Jackson does not stink. Jake.
Yeah, no, I agree. Ijax is a good player. He's a good backup big, is Ijax. But I still think a trade is going to happen here unless you're just going to let guys start walking out the door.
You mean once you start to make up salary cap
before
space.
Next season,
right?
Before next summer,
when you have to start re-signing.
Yes, before next summer, I think you're going to have to make some decisions. Now, if you're not planning on bringing Turner back, that's a different ball of wax. The cap is going to go up, right? So you'll have a little more wiggle room, but you're not going to be able to retain Turner, McConnell, and give a big extension to Nembhard and Jackson on the space that they would be projected to have next season.
Right.
You're just not going to be able to do it. The math doesn't work. The Pacers are very good at math, but not going to work.
Not unlike the 2 of us.
Yes. Yeah, very good at math.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got a 380 on math SAT score, which is brutal. I had an 1100 on my SAT, and I got a 720 on the verbal. I killed the verbal, and I got a 380.
What's the lowest SAT score you get? 400?
For putting your name, yeah, don't you put...
So it's 200, 200?
I don't know.
If we took the SAT right now, what would we get?
I have no idea.
What would you guess?
Don't know.
It's a 1600. You can do an 800,
You are
800.
less departed from school than I am. So you would probably do better because you've been studying and doing because you finished your degree not too long ago.
Yeah, the math part I would probably fare better now than I did in high school because I have a slight better grasp, but it's newer. Obviously,
Yeah.
you'd be in trouble because how much of it do you remember?
It sucks because I think we really leaned into that as being important, and I think we viewed history classes as like not as important. And now I think back on it, and I'm like, I've been catching up on history. It'd be really helpful to have had a baseline knowledge.
Well, I think, Derek,
more of a baseline knowledge in history.
I think that we were conditioned to believe in our era that the SAT was the end-all, be-all. I mean, I remember, like, by the time you're 15, that's all you heard about when you're taking pre-SAT preparation classes and all this other stuff. And then you find out that the SAT actually was really didn't – it couldn't necessarily hurt you, but it could put you over the top if you had a good score. It was a nice tiebreaker for you to get into college admission, but I don't think that schools looked at it first and foremost.
No, and in our era, it was go to college or you're a failure, which obviously does a real disservice to very talented electricians and plumbers and people that work with their hands. And there are a lot of people that make a lot more money than people that are $200,000 in debt with a comms degree.
You're right.
So...
Good
Sorry,
point.
I didn't expect the show to take this turn, but it is good to talk about not only sports issues but educational issues.
Okay, can you button the
summer
top
months? Got to let this breathe a little bit.
No,
summer.
It's disgusting though.
Summer. Yeah, but like the problem for me, and I guess like the Pacers roster, you put this in the good problem to have category. My neck is so muscular and thick that it's very hard for me to button top shirts without suffocating because I've got these bulging neck muscles and just these huge shoulders, and they don't really make shirts for people that are this built up. So it's a little uncomfortable for me. So we're just going to leave it as it is right there.
Okay.
A little uncomfortable. Overall, just looking at it, what grade? I don't think the Pacers really did anything unexpected here. The most unexpected signing to me was Wiseman just because I thought they'd go the veteran route with a big, but I'm fine with the signing.
He's a veteran to an extent. Here's my thought, Derek. The Pacers, to me, are in a really good position because if you look at the Pacers' run to the Eastern Conference Finals, and yes, I know competitive sweep is like the dumbest term ever used, right?
The kings of the competitive sweep.
But, I mean, the point being, Boston was really good. They lost a playoff game the entire postseason. And Indiana, realistically, and I know, close counts and horseshoes and hand grenades, I get it. But they didn't look out of their league against them is what I'm getting at. And sure, the Pacers advanced past Milwaukee maybe because Giannis, who's one of the 10 best players in the world, was not available. The Pacers advanced past New York maybe because Julius Randle wasn't available, and then they got banged up throughout the course of the series. New York did. And then they were a competitive sweep against Boston. So maybe they snuck up on people. But Philadelphia added Paul George and has Joel Embiid, and they retain Maxey. Big three, right? Boston brings everybody back. The Orlando Magic are kind of a trendy pick of like, wow, they have length and they're going to be another year more experience.
Cleveland ran it back for the most part.
Cleveland ran it back, but has a good roster. Then I'm trying to think of who else in the East.
New York, right?
I said New York,
okay.
Yeah. But my point being that the Pacers, no one's talking about them. They're kind of written off, and I think they have a really good roster that the only thing now that this roster needs is time. Is just continued maturation, time, and development. And I think they're going to be in very good position. And I think next year they're in a similar situation that they were going into the playoffs this year where nobody's talking about them, and that's just fine. There's no pressure on them. So to me, I think they're in a really good spot, and I don't see any reason to think that they're not going to finish the year as a top 4 or 5 seed and then you let the chips fall and you see what happens and you make a run.
Yeah, I think their advantage is they know what they have. Whereas I know Paul George is insanely talented, but Philly doesn't know what they have with that group because they've not played together.
And did you see, Derek?
Right?
Did you see Paul George has come out and said
he wanted to sign with Golden State?
I wanted to sign in. I thought it was L.A., but he said that the offer was an insult.
Yeah, they tried to lowball him or whatever.
So now you know that Paul George is going somewhere where he's not wasn't his first choice. Buyer beware, man. And I like Paul George.
Yeah.
With any player, buyer beware there.
I appreciate Paul George's honesty. I think there are some things that he's been, over the course of his career, maybe a little bit too honest about.
Right.
And gotten himself into a little bit of
fair.
trouble. But, yeah, I agree with you. Mikal Bridges with New York, I'm assuming a guy of his skill set could be airdropped on any NBA roster and thrive because that's just how he is. But we don't know. We don't know how that's going to work with Anunoby and with Brunson and Hart and all those
Anunoby, if he's
players.
healthy, is a big key for them.
Yeah, so I think that's the advantage that the Pacers have. I think they're probably more of a in normal circumstances, they would have been more of an Eastern Conference semifinals team than a finals team, right? But it's hard for me to just not put them in the conversation of the teams after Boston. Boston's in its own category. But the teams after Boston, I think the Pacers absolutely deserve a seat at that table. Now, you can put them fifth if you want to. If you want to put Philly, New York, Cleveland, whatever. If you want to put those teams in front of them, fine. But I think they deserve a seat at that table.
I mean, the East is loaded, isn't it? Yeah. In the West, what do you have? You've got Denver.
Yeah. Minnesota,
obviously. And then,
Oklahoma City.
Oak City's good.
Yeah.
Is San Antonio going to make a big move? I mean, Dallas feels. I realize Dallas won the West. We shouldn't rule.
And
them
they had
out,
a nice offseason. I mean, Dallas is kind of where the Pacers are, I think, where they made a little bit of a surprise run. And the difference, of course, being for them is that they have an established elite player, whereas we think Haliburton might have the potential to get there, but he ain't there.
Which leads to the question of Haliburton now with Team USA. Good or bad thing for the Indiana Pacers?
I think it's good because...
What's his role going to be?
I'm looking for him to... Well, I think his role is going to be a distributor, which is his best role. Now, he can also score and shoot, and we've seen that, but I think his number one attribute is his ability to facilitate and make the guys around him better and run an offense. But I'm looking at this strictly from an individual standpoint. I think any individual enrichment, enhancement for Haliburton greatly helps the Pacers as a team, don't you?
I would agree with that.
I mean, I understand what people are saying. He kind of had injury issues second half of the year, right? And he's not going to get any rest.
Right. And I kind of like the fact, Derek, that it forces him to kind of reset and reprogram into facilitator mode.
Sure.
That then offense comes to you. Because now that you have Siakam, you have, the development of like a Nembhard who can score in the mid-range game. Maybe Haliburton's role is indeed for the Pacers is back to – there were times I thought he tried to do too much offensively, and now he can get back to the core of what he is.
Yeah, Team USA is going to ask him to play a much different role than what the Pacers ask of him, right? So that's going to be a departure from what is expected of him here, but just for him to be in a team setting with these players who are already on a level where he wants to be. I mean, Anthony Edwards is on a level where Haliburton is still striving for,
Did you see Anthony Edwards came out and said – look, I'm going into this under the assumption that I'm the guy.
Good.
And that's what I said.
Good.
That when you have a collection of that kind of talent, you need somebody that is the very clear alpha, and that dude knows no other way but to be the alpha.
Yeah, and it PO'd people at the time, but that's how Kobe was. Kobe was like that from when he was a young player and not even before he was ready to be a superstar. Kobe was always like that, and Jordan was like that. So, if Edwards is going to sniff that tier, then that's the attitude that you want to have.
Who do you think in fast food, who do you think has the best fries?
Ooh, the best fries. I mean, I still think McDonald's is the most consistent when I've had them. Wendy's have always been really bad. We barely do fast food. No. They've always been bad.
You don't like the thickness? Or
I thought Burger King did a good job when they kind of revamped theirs. This was like 10 years ago.
I'm a fan of the Burger King fries.
Yeah.
I have like this weird craving for Burger King fries.
I remember we had a Rally's by our house in Bloomington my last year that I was at IU, and we used to get the seasoned fries, which were really good at Rally's.
I don't think I've ever had Rally's.
Yeah, they were like 50 cents or something,
Right.
and they give you 10 pounds of them.
Ooh, Five Guys?
I can't even speak on. I've been to Five Guys maybe once in my life.
They give you like an entire bag of
Fast
fries.
food for me, and I'm not judging. I know it's convenient and all of that. It's only something that we get in like emergency situations.
Okay.
We're on
So
the road. There's no
here's the
other
thing.
option.
So you're on the interstate.
Yeah.
You pull off. You're on a long road trip, and every fast food restaurant in America is on the exit. Which one are you going
Burger King.
to? Okay.
That's what. Oh, you mean of the burger places, or are we
just
including like
fast
Taco
food,
Bell and KFC
everything.
and all of that?
All the fast food joints are there.
Does Culver's count?
Sure.
Okay, if Culver's counts, then I'm doing Culver's.
Okay, then what about this? Which is the one that you're like, no, I don't care if.
Oh, Hardee's.
Really?
Yeah, it's just too much. They market based on who they're trying to attract, and I get it, but it's too gross for me. Arby's is one that I don't like either.
Really?
Arby's is one that would be bottom barrel for me. Yeah, everything's like $18. It's
They are
expensive,
proud of their sandwiches.
And
They are proud of their
yeah, I know
sandwiches.
they're doing burgers now, but yeah, I can't do Arby's. What about you? I've heard you ask the snack question before, like you're at a Buc-ee's, what are you
Right.
getting, combos, whatever. I've never heard you ask the fast food one before.
I think. Is it Sunday?
No.
Chick-fil-A's in the mix.
Chick-fil-A is fine. I think when I moved, we didn't have Chick-fil-A's.
But if I'm on a road trip, I don't want to wait 20 minutes in line.
Yeah, I hear you. Where I grew up, we didn't have Chick-fil-A. In fact, I called it Chick-a-Filla the first time there was one at the library at IU, and I said, do you guys want to get Chick-a-Filla? And they're like, dude, is there something like mentally wrong with you? Like, how'd you
do you
get
not
into this
know?
school?
How do you not
I thought
know?
it was called Chick-a-Filla. I didn't know.
There's not even an A in the middle of it. It's just Chick dash
cursive.
F-I-L.
It's cursive. It's hard to tell. I had never had Chick-a-Filla we didn't have any where I grew up. So there was one in the library, and I told my roommate who was from St. Louis, I was like, do you want to go to Chick-a-Filla? And he just burst out laughing. But anyway, I think it's fine. People act like the fact that people stand in line 20 minutes for it or act like their breakfast is
Right.
like the best
I
thing
get
that ever
it.
happened to them. I just don't get it. I
I
think
get
it's
it.
very average food. It's fresh. The service is great.
From a health
It's
standpoint,
hot.
I would probably go Subway would
Yeah.
be my second one, just because if I eat, it's been so long since I've had fast food like burgers
Yeah,
that
I hear you.
Who knows?
And
what
caloric intake wise,
Right.
probably on the safer side.
the other one that like I loved it as a kid, and I think I probably still would like it, but you don't see them as much anymore. But I have to admit, every time I pass one, I get sad because I'm like, who goes there?
Yeah.
I feel sorry for the people there. Long John Silver's.
Yeah, I've never had Long John Silver's in my life.
Well, I mean, you thought Chick-fil-A was Chick-a-Filla.
I
so
know,
that
I've
doesn't
never had
surprise me.
Long John Silver's in my life, but I heard the Hush Puppies are pretty good.
They are.
Chicken planks.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah. Don't they give you
Their
a
fries are
basket
underrated.
with all their fried
Yes.
stuff that falls in
Yes, the Krispies.
the Krispies?
We didn't realize that it was just like
Trumbull,
grease
Connecticut.
that was
the town that I grew up in was 40,000 people. It was not zoned for fast food restaurants. The only fast food that we had in Trumbull was in the Trumbull Mall. We had a Taco Bell, McDonald's. It was one of the largest malls in Connecticut. So the culture out here of fast food is much different. When I grew up, the only time that we had fast food, it was like an insane treat. Like once a year, we would have McDonald's or something like that, and it'd be a huge deal.
I'll tell you an underrated fast food joint, because you don't think about it for the food standpoint. Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
Underrated.
I've gotten a burger at Dairy Queen, which has
Yes,
been fine
underrated.
before, which you wouldn't think of because you go there for ice cream first,
Right.
But that was their whole thing. Hot eats, cool treats. We treat you right, Dairy Queen. Do you remember that commercial campaign?
I thought We Treat You Right was Burger King.
No. Your way, right away at Burger King now. Or Have It Your Way. Or Whopper, 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 Whopper. That's their new thing now. And then McDonald's, I'm loving it. Remember McDonald's Food, Folks, and Fun? Their old saying.
Did you just sit in front of the television
I
as a
watched
kid?
a lot of TV, yeah.
What about the McDLT? Do you remember the McDLT commercials with Jason Alexander running around singing?
Arch Deluxe. Remember that was a big deal? And that was a huge bust, like summer of 96. Summer of 96 was a big summer. Yeah, like this almost looks like a dot A, like a Chick-fil-A. A little bit. Right? It's confusing. You can understand why it would be a little bit confusing.
No one. There's not a human being on the planet that is confused by that.
Chick-fil-A wasn't part of my life until I came out here, and then there were Chick-fil-A's everywhere.
Did you know what this was?
It's a rooster of some sort, right? Or, I mean, I guess a chicken. It's got a beak and a thing on its head. What is this called? The cartilage or whatever this is? Their headdress. A chicken headdress. Whatever it's called.
Every chicken gets up in the morning and is like, has anybody seen my headdress?
No, but the stuff on their head that looks like melted rubber. That stuff. What is that? It's called something. I'm sure it's got a name on it.
Their headdress. That's what it's called.
No, see, you're making fun of me now.
The place that I would go if I had my choice, though, Derek, would be Hoagies and Hops.
Yeah,
right?
me too. Let's get to our Hoagie here of the week.
If I was driving along and I had to stop
steer
somewhere.
This shit back on court. What have we talked about? SATs and fast food. What the hell is this show today? This here is the Brotherly Love. No frill sando.
Which there's none of on this show other than the sandwich.
So this is a lot like basically the hog. It's just kind of ramped down a little bit. So you got some ham, you got some chopped turk, you got some salam, you got some prove on here, you got some L, some T, some shaved O, and some oil.
It's fabulous. You have it in your beard.
It's a good, steady, reliable sando. I'm okay.
It just fell off of your chin onto your shirt. You are the most disgusting eater known to man.
Some chopped turk.
By the way, Hoagies and Hops,
really
which is at 40 Witchin and Boulevard?
42nd.
42nd and
42nd
Boulevard.
and Boulevard.
Just south of Butler University, for example. But Hoagies and Hops is fantastic because, and this is what I love about it. We in Indianapolis love people that have a pride about Indianapolis, right? Like myself, I bleed the torch. I tell people that all the time. We love our city. We love everything that goes into the city. Derek's done a remarkable job since moving here of becoming kind of a part of Indianapolis or letting Indianapolis become a part of him, more specifically. But that's what I love about Hoagies and Hops because we're talking about a restaurant that pays homage to the roots of Philadelphia. And the corner that it's on, all of it, it feels like you are in like South Philly, and maybe all of a sudden Rocky Balboa is going to go running past training in the morning. Then you go in, and it has a mix, knowing and understanding the heritage of Indianapolis. But I think people can respect the fact that it's bringing Philadelphia to Indianapolis, and that includes the fabulous sandwiches for which Philly is known, right?
It's a neighborhood sando shop, but for all neighborhoods, not just Butler, Tarkington, not just Midtown, but all neighborhoods. Like Darren from the South Side comes up all the time to Midtown specifically to go to Hoagies and Hops. And we also have our brew of the week. This is good. Santeria. I don't practice Santeria. I'll make a comment real quick. Sublime self-titled album is one of my favorite albums of all time. Summer of 96 was when that came out. And I always thought Santeria was like the 10th best song on that album. But it got the most radio airplay.
Right.
Anyway, Mexican cerveza here. Especial. That means special in Spanish. Really good. A great summer beer. I love all the can art that they do. It's real.
This is
skeleton dude playing the guitar.
Extremely smooth, right?
Yeah, really good. Just a great summer beer. And they've got all their Santerias in their fridge right now, and canned and on tap. And they've got all their summer beers in there, their core beers, like the One Hop Wonder, Built to Last, all those other ones that we really enjoy. And you could pick up 4-packs or
right
more
there
than
at
that.
Chili Water, right?
Right there at Chili Water Taproom, 42nd Boulevard. Say hi to Alexis and her crew for us. Let's get to our hero of the week. This is off the basketball track a little bit, and I kind of stumbled upon this, and I'll be totally honest with you. I did not know that he was still playing. Now, he's technically younger than me, but Andy Murray, who is a 3-time Grand Slam champion, said goodbye to Wimbledon, obviously in his home, right, in England. He was the first Brit to win Wimbledon in 77 years. When he won back in 2013, he won Wimbledon twice. And a guy that, unfortunately, as great as he was as a tennis player, had the unfortunate timing of coming up at the same time as
right.
Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer. And he is tell me if you agree with this, he's kind of like the Phillip Rivers of the...
It's a very good way of saying
it. To the Brady, Manning, and, I don't know, Breeze, I guess, of Djokovic, Federer, and Nadal. And that stinks because Phillip Rivers is good. Phillip Rivers deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and Andy Murray is a sporting icon in England and throughout the UK, and it was neat to see. British fans do their stars and their prominent people right. I mean, it's almost like hero worship. Like I know here in America, we make a big deal about Taylor Swift and Michael Jordan and things like that, but something about it out there. I mean, he's a huge deal, and it was neat to see him kind of say goodbye.
I agree with that, and in a world where it's hard to be a star for this long and be, to my knowledge, and maybe I'm wrong here, but Andy Murray, I think, pretty scandal-free, right?
Yeah, to my knowledge. The fact that he won 3 Grand Slams among the Nadal, Federer, Djokovic Grand Slams is that has to be the most that anybody won during that era, right?
Right.
Because you have a couple of, I'm not some tennis expert, and Rakestraw's not here, and I don't know, maybe Jeremy Gray's watching the show and screaming at his TV. But for the folks that like tennis, I'm a very casual tennis viewer, but outside of taking advantage of some Nadal injuries and some Federer injuries and things like that, there really aren't a lot of multiple-time Grand Slam winners.
It is
from that
amazing
era.
to me, Derek, that tennis, in a lot of it is the U.S. level. I get it, but how I'm not going to say it's dipped, but the level of interest in tennis or the ratings or whatever, it's amazing that we are in this era where, I mean, arguably the 3 greatest players of all time have been doing it for 15 years now.
Yeah, I don't even think it's arguably. I think they are clearly the 3 best tennis players of all time, just with what they've been able to. Think about how many
Who's
of those
the best
guys
of the
would
3?
have won. It's Djokovic, I think, just if you're stacking trophies, right? And I think he's the most well-rounded, too. To me, Nadal is 3rd on that list because he's the UCLA basketball of tennis greats, where he's great, he's won a bunch of championships, but it's built on one event with the French Open.
Right.
And he won all the other events. Give him credit, but it's built largely on that one event, whereas UCLA is built on one era. And Carolina and Kentucky are Nadal Federer and Djokovic.
So Andy Murray's Villanova.
Andy Murray's NC State.
That's good. Right in the middle of a dynasty.
Yeah, pretty good. A worthy career and worth being remembered, but not like that tier.
Andy Murray, that's a good one though, because NC State, you're talking 1-1 during the middle of the UCLA run.
Yeah.
1-1 in the middle of the rise of Georgetown and in the peak of Carolina, and Kentucky was good at that time. And then, just when you forgot about him, comes back this year into a Final Four, and you're like, you know what? There you go.
This is always the most fun that we have on this show, comparing sports that we know little to nothing about to sports that we do know something about and trying to make analogies with
We know little about most.
Well, speak for yourself. We come back on the show, more expert sports opinions from Query and Schultz. More on this side of the table than that side of the table. We'll talk Caitlin Clark. She keeps making history, and the Fever playing good basketball here. Plus our Love That Play and more features to get to when we return. It's Query and Schultz presented by Bailey & Wood Financial Group here on the ISC Sports Network.
Hey, AC, which games are we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC,
Nice snap.
mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Bailey & Wood presents Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network. Speaking of our friends at Bailey & Wood, we are about a month out from their golf outing. I believe it's August 8th. Did you commit? I gave you the date, right?
Let me look in my phone.
Mike just emailed me last week.
Okay.
Let me make sure that's right. I think it's Thursday, August 8th.
That's
Yes.
a Thursday, yep.
Thursday, August 8th at Die Walk. One of the highlights of the year.
great.
Jake and I will be there. If you have not taking a picture with us, if you want an updated picture with us with a little more gray hair for both of us, I'm a little more svelte, Jake a little less so. We will be there to take pictures, sign anything that you want. The only thing that I don't do personalized greetings, but anything else.
Nobody wants you to sign anything. Number one,
like I won't do to Robbie or to Bob or to Myrtle. I don't want to. That's just a personal choice
Myrtle
that I make. And I understand people can put this stuff online and on eBay and things like that. That's a risk that I'm willing to take. So,
Myrtle?
Yeah. Hey, there's a Hurricane Burl coming through. Say Burl.
They run out of names?
Yeah, I think so. BERYL. BAWFG.com. 855-350-HOME for our friends at Bailey & Wood Financial Group. If you're looking to get pre-approved for that mortgage, it is a tough housing market right now because inventory is so low. You're going to want to call Mike Wood and his fantastic group at Bailey & Wood Financial Group get that taken care of before you start looking around. Our buddy Jordan Shue just bought a house as well. Cool. So he knows, this is a tough
They got him a good rate, right?
They got him the best rate they could. I mean, considering where rates are. But BAWFG.com, 855-350-HOME, and a bunch of Indiana branch locations. If you like the face-to-face service, 5-star customer service, they're going to do that for you at Bailey & Wood. Let's talk Caitlin Clark. More history. First WNBA rookie to score a triple-double. She had 19, 12, and 13 in the Fever's win over the Liberty.
The fun thing about that, I heard, the crowd was massive, obviously, but they didn't announce that she was close to the triple-double, but, you can see the stats up there, and the people in the crowd were following along, and, it's like St. Louis Cardinal baseball fans. You're talking about smart fans. So they knew what was going on. They knew that it was unprecedented and that they were seeing history, and then, obviously it was tremendously well received. I was in Mid-Ohio over the weekend for the IndyCar race, and I came back, and I stopped on the east side to fill up with gas, and I walked in the gas station, and there are 3 people standing there chatting. An older gentleman, a probably 40-year-old woman, and then the attendant that was probably 20. And they were standing there having a conversation about Caitlin Clark.
Wow.
And I'm like, and they were of different demographics racially as well. But they were just standing there, the 3 of them chatting in depth about Caitlin Clark and what she'd done and it's a phenom, truly. And, our friend Scott Long, who's a lifelong Iowa fan, he said it best when she was drafted here, and I think it sounds like hyperbole, but I don't think it is, when he said, this is Taylor Swift of basketball. And it does feel that way, but it's living up to the hype now. And the fever now, and I don't know whether it's that Caitlin Clark has kind of learned how to play with the rest of the team or the rest of the team has learned how to play with Caitlin Clark. And that's not to say that it was their job to do so, but anytime you have a new major ingredient put into any sort of a team environment – but they've figured things out, and now all of a sudden, don't look now, but the Fever is starting to tick up those standings a little bit, and I think it's exciting to see what they're going to be by the time the year ends and you get into the postseason.
Yeah, started 2-9, and then in the next 11 games, they've won 7 of 11.
Yeah,
and really they should have won 8. They blew that game against Chicago for the most part. I mean, it really should be an 8-3 stretch. So they're firmly now a middle tier WNBA team and separated themselves, I think, from the bottom. But everything that she does, the triple double, the All-Star voting, the attendance, the ratings, on the court, off the court, it's just historic. And I understand the conversation is getting like almost contentious between, how much credit she should get and how much credit like Angel Reese should get.
Right.
Angel Reese is having a tremendous season too, but I just think it's disingenuous of us to suggest that she's having an equal impact that Caitlin Clark is. It's just not. It's not the case. She's having an impact.
Right.
I don't want to discredit Reese's impact or anybody else. There are a lot of great and noteworthy stars in the WNBA who have been waiting to capture these eyeballs, and they're capturing them now. But Clark's transcending the sport.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, the TV ratings alone would
yeah.
support your case there.
I mean, the talk about Rookie of the Year and all of that stuff, I guess we'll let that whole thing play out.
But you know what, Derek, give credit also to Christy Sides, because as the head coach of the Fever, there was a lot of pressure on her in the beginning. They don't know, she doesn't know how to coach this team. What's she doing wrong? And she kind of stayed the course, and now all of a sudden that chemistry is in fact growing, and you got to give them credit. They're playing good basketball.
Yeah, defensively they got better too. They gave up over 90 points per game in their first 11 games, and they haven't given up 90 since then in the next 11.
Do you know something happened to me today that stunned me?
Is it related to Caitlin Clark and the fever?
No.
Okay, because we're having a good conversation right now, and I kind of want to keep this
It's
going.
sports related.
4 games left for Indiana before the Olympic break. They have Washington and Phoenix this week, Wednesday and Friday. We're taping this right now on Tuesday. At Minnesota Sunday, at Dallas next Wednesday. I think you probably hope to split those, but there's a chance you could go 3-1. I mean, if you can go 3-1 over that group, you would be, let's see, they right now are 9-13. So if they could go 3-1, they would be 12-14. You'd be inching closer to 500. Yeah, on the fly. How about that, SAT? Inching closer to 500 going into the break, and I think you'd be feeling pretty good about yourself at that
Do you know
point.
something that interesting that happened to me today?
Fine. What? What is it?
So I get up this morning.
Okay. I'm going to eat my sandwich while you're telling this.
I'm looking at social media. And they're on social media, and you see this kind of stuff. It's fun. There's a video of a player finding out that he is a Major League All-Star, calling his parents to inform them. Okay? So, I'm like, this is cool. And he calls his parents, and he's like, hey, Mom, what are you guys doing? And she's like, oh, not much. Dad's by the pool, And he says, okay, great. And he goes, listen, what are you guys doing next weekend? And she's like, well, Dad's got to go to Arkansas, and then he'll be back. And he says, okay, well, the reason I was asking is because just found out I'm going to be at the All-Star game. I thought maybe you guys would want to come and watch. And the mom starts crying, whatever. And I thought, this is cool. The guy's a Major League All-Star game participant, Major League All-Star. Plays for the Seattle Mariners. So then I realized the video is being tweeted out, X'd out, posted out, whatever you want to call it, by the Mariners. And they use the player's Twitter handle.
Okay.
This is a Major League Baseball All-Star player. Now, the other day, I was sitting minding my own business and scrolling my phone, and somebody posted a video of the 1984 All-Star rosters, like announcements at the All-Star game. And literally, it's the guy's like the left fielder from the San Diego Padres. I'm like, Tony Gwynn. I mean, every one of them. And every single player.
Yeah.
Right? So this guy who just got named to the All-Star team and is a Major League Baseball All-Star, I click on his name on his social media profile. Now, Derek, I know that we live in an era now, and in particular with younger people, like Twitter is not the end-all be-all. I get it, right?
There are a lot of people that aren't on the site.
Instagram, and there's a million other places people can go. But it's somewhat of a barometer. Now, how many followers do you have?
19,000.
Okay. So you have double that of a Major League Baseball All-Star player. This player, Logan Gilbert, he has 8,500 followers on social media. And he's a Major League Baseball All-Star.
Yeah, there's just no there's no name recognition at all.
Unbelievable to me.
With star, outside of the real superstar Shohei, Judge,
Mike Trout,
Bryce Harper. Yeah, outside of that, but even Mike Trout. I mean, if Mike Trout walked around Monument Circle right now,
correct.
He wouldn't be.
How many would recognize Shohei Ohtani?
A ton of people.
I think Bryce Harper would be recognized, and Aaron Judge would be recognized.
Yeah, there is some name recognition, and part of that is the franchises that they've played for. Certainly with Judge, part of that's related to that. Like if Judge had the same career but did it with, the Orioles, it probably wouldn't be the same level of recognition. The cute fellows.
Thank you.
Probably wouldn't be the same. But that's how baseball has chosen to market itself. Baseball has chosen, and people get upset about the NBA doing that. I know Pacers fans have gotten upset about that because they haven't had a prominent star player in many of the years. But NBA is boiled down to this game is Giannis versus Haliburton. It's not Bucks Pacers.
Right.
Giannis versus Haliburton. And Major League Baseball still does. Watch the St. Louis Cardinals against the Minnesota Twins.
Okay, off the top of your head, Derek, tell me the last 4 World Series winners.
Astros, Braves, Nationals, and who am I missing in there?
You're missing one.
Wait, hold on. Red Sox in 18.
You're missing one.
Nationals in 19. Dodgers in 20. Braves in 22, Astros in 23. Who is in 21?
You're also missing.
The Texas Rangers. The Texas Rangers. Okay, wait.
The Rangers were last year,
Rangers
right?
were 23.
Yeah.
Astros were 22. Braves were 21. Dodgers were the COVID year. 19 was the Nationals. 18 was the Red Sox.
Nice.
I think I've got that right. I think.
Now,
17 was the Astros.
but the Phillies went to one of them, right?
Yeah, Phillies lost to...
Was it the Rangers or the Astros?
No, Rangers beat the Diamondbacks. Phillies must have lost to the Astros. And then the Braves beat the Astros.
The Rangers beat the Diamondbacks. Is that the most random World Series of all time?
I mean, it's way up there.
It's like an NBA Finals between the Kings and the Magic.
Yeah, I mean, it's up there. It's up there for sure. Okay, yeah.
We forgot this one, Derek. We forgot the Kansas City Royals with our coworker Todd.
That's right, big Royals fan. Those weird Giants teams where they missed the playoffs in between 3 different championships.
Now, one of the Giants here was when who was the pitcher that was the MVP?
Bumgarner, right?
Bumgarner,
Yeah.
Madison Bumgarner, and he won the truck that had
all kinds of tech and stuff. Yeah, the very nervous and sweaty Ford or Chevy person.
That was
executive
the best.
that was there. Yeah, that was the most memorable part of that. I can't tell you anything
You're right.
else that happened in that
You're
World
right.
Series.
You're right.
And that's the problem too, is that name something that happened even last year in the World Series, like Rangers Diamondbacks. What happened? Did the Rangers sweep that series? Did the Diamondbacks win
No,
a
the
game?
Diamondbacks won a game.
Okay.
If there was a play in the World Series that excited us, perhaps it would be a candidate for Love That Play. Brought to you by the good guys at Love Heating and Air. You hear us talk about these guys a lot. As a matter of fact, last night Shannon said to me, she had an issue in her house, and she said, the one thing that I'm happy about is the fact that your guys, Chris and John Love, have taken care of me when it comes to the furnace and the air conditioning unit. I never have any issue at all. It's the one thing I know I'm not going to have any problem with. And that's what I love about Love Heating and Air. They treat everybody just like they grew up with you, like they have always treated me. Family-owned business, 4 generations deep, great product, great knowledge of product, and great prices, and 24-hour on-call maintenance. So at all times, you know that you are safe inside your own home if things go awry. Love Heating and Air is going to be there for you. Love-HVAC.com is their website. 317-353-2141 is the telephone number. And each and every week they bring us our Love That Play, our favorite play in sports of the week. Derek?
I mostly wanted to choose this just because I wanted to shoehorn in a mention, but I think I might flip these because of what happened. I prepped this yesterday before of what happened last night. So I originally had Pato Award holding off Pelot to win at Mid-Ohio. I understand it was his second victory, but for all intents and purposes, it was his first, right? Because the other one...
The first one where he took the checker flag first.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Was
Joseph
a
Newgarden being disqualified was his other win.
But I want to actually flip it to the Zach Edey tip-in to force overtime for Memphis. A good debut for Zach Edey.
Zach Edey's looking good.
And a great one for Khalil Ware.
Yeah.
Who looked good as well. But Edey... last night, because we're taping this on Tuesday, 7 of 12 from the field, 14 points, 15 rebounds, 4 blocks. I thought he looked good in transition.
He did. He runs the floor well, but they also had to take him out a few times.
Yeah, look, it's going to be a learning curve. But I think too often with Zach Edey, you heard the words can't.
Right.
And I don't think can't is part of it. I think there are some things where he's going to be limited and that he's going to be less likely to do or less easily done on a consistent basis. But I don't think there's anything that he can't do.
You know, the one area of concern I have for him, it's really the only area of concern, but the one area of concern I have for Zach Edey is when I was watching, and we're talking about NBA Summer League, he is in the Orlando Summer League. There's also the Vegas Summer League, which gets underway where Indiana is. But he does camp in the lane a lot. It depends on how strictly they call that at the NBA level.
Yeah. He should, and he was great at avoiding 3-second calls at Purdue,
right?
Because they really kind of taught him how to do that. But I don't think I think that's where NBA teams are going to want him because that's going to be where he's still the most effective.
Sure.
Right? But there's going to be a learning curve there. Khalil Ware has all the skills. It's just about developing those skills. But I still think that he's going to be one of the steals of the draft. I really do. I think he's going to be a very good NBA player.
Jared Allen. That's my prediction for Khalil.
Fine. I think you'd take that. Yeah,
Christian
I think you'd take that if you were him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you'd take that. Looked very good. But that was my love that play. It was the perfect miss by the way, and it was Laravia that missed it, right? The kid from Indy.
And I thought Laravia looked good in the moments that I saw as well.
And it was just neat. It was neat for Edie to have that moment, and because you know how much that game meant to him. It was the first time, and so many people have said, "Oh, this guy sucks. He's a stiff, whatever. He's a glacier." And to prove people wrong, I get that it's Summer League, but to prove people wrong a little bit, good for him. So that's our Love That Play. We come back on the show. We'll get some quick hits in, including about IndyCar, also Paul Skeens. And speaking of racing, IRP's
Paul
finally
Skeens is
getting
dating that hot chick, right?
I don't know.
How do you not know this?
Dating. Yeah.
How do you not know this?
Do we say chick? I mean, like we're a little. Yeah, it's 2024. Can we get that in post?
Okay. Paul
Vince,
Skeens is dating the really attractive Instagram star that was the LSU gymnast, right?
Oh, I know who that is. Yeah. I don't know her name, but I know who that is. Olivia.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a nice name, pretty name, Olivia.
Do I have to keep you up on everything pop culture? By the way, how great is this shirt?
Quick hits, and we
this
will
shirt not
return
the best?
and do more stuff.
Come on.
Here on this
Deep
show
down,
full
you
of
like
stuff.
you like the shirt, don't
Corey
you,
and
Eric?
Schultz, ISC Sports Network. It's pretty cool. I love the typeface of Seahawks.
It's great.
Hey, AC, which games are we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC,
Nice snap.
mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
That's all right. Vince was trying to get your comment, hot chick, in post before we were in post, and he forgot to roll the intro here. So let's just try it again. It's all right. I'll put something on it. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. It's Corey and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network alongside Jay
What are
Corey.
we
I'm
doing
Derek
here?
Schultz.
That was a
Thanks so
major
much
hiccup.
for joining us, and we're sorry that sometimes the crew is not quite up to par like we have been throughout today. This has been an excellent show, but we can only control what we can control, and sometimes Vince is looking up James Wiseman highlights or something like that while the show is going on, and
I think he was looking up the hot chick from LSU.
Need him to focus on the. Can you not say? Let's not say hot chick on the show. I know you're old and from a different generation, but like,
Is that not?
no, I mean it's just I don't know. It's
How about the babe?
hot chick.
How about the babe?
How
from
about the
LSU?
hot dame from?
The attractive young lady from LSU.
Okay, yeah, good for Skeets. Now he's got a great mustache.
That's like a parody, right?
No, I think it looks good.
No.
If I was from a different generation, like this generation or from the 80s, when I could grow that mustache, I'd have a lot of. Actually, I still had pictures like that, like this one.
What do you mean if? Okay, hold on. You're from the same generation as he, right?
No, dude, Paul Skeens is like 23
But I'm saying
years
you're
old.
living in it. I'm saying.
Okay, yeah, I am living on the same planet that Paul Skeens
So
is
if he
living.
has that, what's stopping
Ashley
you?
said no.
Well, she allows those ridiculous
Barely.
grape smugglers
Barely.
you got
they
on
look
there.
good, don't they? I need to get a little more color.
Yes, that
A little
is
more color.
that-
Well, I'm
believe
having
you me.
I'm having a little bit of a farmer's tan problem. Can you see? Can you see that? I was pulling weeds, doing some yard work, and should have done it shirtless.
Not the first time you spent a weekend doing that. Now
I didn't want to distract the neighbors. Let's get to our quick hits. We mentioned Paul Skeens, 22 years old, by the way, and he got an all-star nod. So he started the season in Indy, but has been so good.
Yeah, number one
in
overall pick,
8
right?
weeks. 5-0 in 10 starts, 78 strikeouts in fewer than 60 innings. He's allowed 2 runs or fewer in 9 of those 10 starts, 2.12 ERA. So all the old school, new school, sabermetrics, advanced analytics, whatever number you want to attach to Paul Skeens, he's killing it. I mean,
Yeah.
he has been, especially his first time through the lineup, he is overpowering. And he looks like he's on track to be the next big thing as far as pitchers are concerned, much more so than Mitch Keller, who's actually turned into, I think, an okay pro, one of their other first-round picks from years ago. IRP finally getting a facelift. Remember they announced those things back in 2018? They finally broke ground on
That's
their
right.
renovations this past week. COVID put those plans on hold, and I don't know what other delays got in between, but two-phase renovation plan cost 8 figures. It'll include a new tower, new buildings, refurb suites, and some changes to the layout. Parking and getting out of there was a little difficult.
Yeah. It's a great facility.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, the U.S. Nationals, which is Labor Day weekend, is awesome.
It is.
Which is the NHRA Super Bowl, as we always say. And with that, Derek, by the way, on a side note, best wishes and continued recovery for John Force, who is one of the great personalities in racing, notably, obviously, an NHRA 6-time champion, funny car champion, and just an absolute ambassador, not just for drag racing, but for sports in general. Suffered a terrible crash a couple weeks ago, over 300 miles an hour. Got out and was awake and alert, but did suffer a traumatic brain injury, they've said. He's been removed from neuro-intensive care into a rehab facility. And Graham Rahall's father-in-law, Courtney Force, his daughter, amongst 3 daughters that he has that did a reality show. But a great personality and a fun guy, and certainly wish him the best.
I'm very happy that he's on the road to recovery. I'm sad that this potentially is the end. I mean,
he's in his 70s.
I would have to think that this is the sign that, okay, it's time, because there's nothing else for him to accomplish. But, yeah, I was happy to see the positive updates.
But back to the situation about IRP. Great facility. Anybody that has a chance to go out there and enjoy it, run by people that truly care about it, care about racing, and the fans love it as well. It's a great place.
It needed a facelift. I mean, 5-6 years ago, the Speedway was in the same spot.
Right.
And Penske bought it, and he's really, it's crazy how much a couple of coats of paint and things like that can really elevate in the signage and, ribbon boards and everything that they put there. And I understand IRP is not IMS, but it is. It is the track for the Super Bowl of the sport, so it needs to look the part, if you will. And now it'll have the chance to look that part.
Let me show you what doesn't need a facelift.
Yeah, no, Shannon's very pretty. Yeah.
Right?
My hot chick girlfriend.
That's right.
Hot dame.
That's right.
That I'm dating.
How about that? That's a great photo, isn't it?
She's
beautiful. There you go.
Yeah, you're very you're very lucky. We come back on the show, Bite or Bull Bleep, and we will wrap up and hopefully not talk any more chicks, dames here on Corey and Schultz. Presented by Bailey and Wood. It's the ISC Sports Network.
Tonight.
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Back for a final time. There we go. That's our proper intro. Vince is back and locked in. It's Corey and Schultz, presented by
Vince is always locked in.
Here on the ISC Sports Network. Also, welcome to Charlie. He's part of the team now, too.
Can you do me a favor? Charlie, let me
say hi to Charlie.
Charlie, thank you, and welcome, by the way. And I'll let Charlie know. Just a peek behind the curtain. We're sitting at a desk. Derek is to my left, and occasionally when I look over to look at Derek, I notice that as naturally happens when one sits down, your pants, your shorts, whatever it might be, can ride up a little bit just based on getting kind of stuck underneath your legs. Derek has zero margin for error anyway, and then I look over, and I mean, it's literally like you're wearing Speedos.
Drink it in over here. Drink it in. You know you want to just take a look.
No, I don't.
See what life
I don't.
could have been or used to be for you 10, 15 years, however much older you are than me.
I don't have a lot going on physically, but I will tell you this. I've got really, really good legs.
Yeah. I got really good everything over there.
Okay. Derek is sitting completely spread eagle right now.
That's actually – no, I'm sitting normal. We should actually get Jordan's in there. Can we get like a GoPro down over here?
Negativo.
Down under the desk?
People would like to see my
Well, just to see, like sometimes we have shoes that we want to talk about or whatever else. We can get a GoPro, and then if we need to do crotch, then, well, I mean, not, crotch makes it sound raunchy. That's not what I'm trying to do. But like nether regions to get that, then we can do it. Oh, we're going to do it? See?
No.
How we doing?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Just two nice legs.
Hi. Pretty good. You stretch them out a little bit.
First up, now, hold on.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Let's do a compare and contrast. Check out the quad muscles here. Come on. Come on now.
What are we doing?
I mean, come on.
Oh, my God. It's the worst segment that we've ever done. Let's get to Biter Bowl Week. Thank you, Jordan. Brought to you by our friends at Chateau Kitchens. Maybe we should just get all of that in post, too. ChateauKitchens.com, at Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Facebook for before and after pictures.
Oh, believe me.
Yeah.
Because people want to see more photos based on that segue, Derek. Are you kidding me?
If you want your
at least
kitchen
that, it's worth seeing.
And bathroom just looking very toned and muscular and fresh and moist, then give my friends at Chateau Kitchens a call. Steven and his crew do a great job. Megan, Ryan, they have multiple Ryans who do great work over there at Chateau Kitchens.
Why are we again taking the photos of you naked getting out of your shower? Nobody wants to see that.
Home.
I don't want to see that. The shower looks great. Behind the basement looks great.
We love them.
The fur creature stepping out of it, not so much.
The best.
I have a radio show now.
Derek Schultz approved.
It's IndyCar racing season. Like, I don't need to be here. You know what I mean?
Statement number 1, the Pacers will not host a first-round series in the NBA playoffs next season. Buy it or bull bleep. 5 seed or worse.
Buy it. They're going to be a 5 seed. That's fine. But they're going to be a 5 seed.
I'm going to say bull bleep. I'm going to go Celtics 1. I'm going to go Celtics 1, Sixers 2, because I really do think this one's going to work. I think Maxey and Embiid and George positionally, I think, complement each other pretty well, unlike some of these other big threes that they've tried to put together, not just Philly, but other teams. I'm going to go Philly 2, Pacers 3. I'm going to go Knicks 4.
Okay.
I think Bridges is good.
He is.
And I think Anunoby is good.
Randall's the big thing you got to keep in mind.
I think there's a chance
kind of a black hole offensively, though.
Randall could mess things up more than he helps.
I could see that.
As good as he is as a scorer. So I'm going to say bull bleep. And Pacers end up the 3 seed. Wimbledon will never be what it once was. Buy it or bull bleep.
Boy, from an American viewing standpoint, I'm going to buy it.
I mean, it would take like a...
I mean, you just got done with the 3 best players in the history of the game, and people here were kind of yawned about it, right?
I think you would need almost like a Coco Gauff, Serena Williams male American counterpart.
Correct.
Level.
Correct.
Like a Tiger,
like a Tiger
Woods,
right? You're right.
But
no, that's
a male. Right. A male American on that side. There just haven't been enough relevant American players, and that's us looking at it selfishly, right? Because Wimbledon will always be a big deal.
Here's a good trivia question for you. During the Bo Knows campaign, what tennis player did they use to go Bo Knows tennis?
Agassi.
Correct.
Really? Oh, yeah. Wow.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah. No, I just took a guess at it. I just figured they used an American, right? And Sampras was boring.
Yeah.
Sampras is a good guy and a tremendous tennis player, but God, he's just, really boring. National media are sleeping on the Colts. Buy it or bull bleep?
Yeah, I buy that.
Are you worried? Generally speaking, when the national folks don't line up with the Indy folks, I feel like bad things, like IU basketball was a big case last year, where nationally everybody's like, hey, this team's no good. And all the IU people were saying, what are you talking about? This team goes 12 deep. They're amazing. And obviously the Nationals were right.
Right.
That team was no good.
No, I think the Colts have a chance to be good. So they're sleeping on it, and yes, they are sleeping on it, and they're going to be wrong.
I mean, I think they have the chance to be great. I
don't disagree with that.
I think if Anthony Richardson is great, then the Colts can be like a 13-win level team. I really do.
That's fair.
And you know me, I'm not a Kool-Aid drinker, usually.
Right.
And I understand cornerback, and I understand the complaints about Ballard, and I've made some of the same complaints about Ballard, but I don't know. Yes, I do think there's – because I think the national media's got him at like 7-10. You know what I mean? Like I saw one group that had them behind the Titans, and I'm like,
yeah, no
what?
Way. No way.
I'm like, what?
One of those two, Houston or Jacksonville, is going to come to earth this year.
Yeah, I mean, the Jaguars, at least you can argue Lawrence taking the next step, which still is yet to be determined.
How about this? Buy it or bullshit, the Houston Texans are going to win the AFC South.
I mean, I have to say buy it because Stroud is the known commodity right now, and Richardson is not.
Hard to do it 2 years in a row in the NFL.
No, it's hard. And I'm not willing to say, Stroud is suddenly a top 3 quarterback because of a great rookie season. I'm not ready to go there, but he's more of a known commodity. It's simplistic to just put it on the quarterbacks, but we don't know yet. I'm bullish on Richardson and optimistic, but we don't know yet. Whereas we kind of know with Stroud.
Right.
Stroud is at least going to be a very good player, if not a great one.
Good player.
As long as he's not Rick Meyer, because we have seen examples of that before.
I mean, Mac Jones, right?
Yeah, but we overrated that because it was the Patriots.
Understood,
yeah,
but that's my point.
I never really understood what the BFD was about Mac Jones. Thanks to our great sponsors, Chili Water Brewing, our friends at Hoagies and Hops, both at 42nd and Boulevard, southwestern edge of Midtown, for supporting this show. Love Heating and Cooling, Chris and John Love, 353-2141, love-hvac.com. Chateau Kitchens, you saw those beautiful pictures, not only of the homes that they've affected, but the people whom they've affected. ChateauKitchens.com.
Impacted.
And Bailey and Wood Financial Group, the presenting sponsor of this
what do you think
show.
of my quads?
For Vince, for Charlie,
What do you think?
for Jake, for Jordan, for bringing in that camera. Yeah, they're fine. They're a little orange. For Jake, I'm Derek Schultz.
than
We'll see you
pasty.
next time here on Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network, with even shorter shorts.
Yeah, okay.
At Bailey and Wood.